What if I told you that a small, everyday oversight could be harming your cat's life right now, without you even suspecting it? Millions of people around the world believe they're doing absolutely everything right when it comes to caring for their felines. They love their cats deeply, feed them quality food, pet them frequently, and keep them safe indoors, believing that by doing so they're providing the best possible life. But what if this very comforting sense of security and protection is actually subtly harming their physical and mental health in ways we never imagined? Welcome to the Cat Forever channel, the fascinating and complex universe of the feline world. This video is in no way an attack on dedicated cat owners, but rather a scientific and compassionate wake-up call that has the potential to radically transform the quality of life of your silent and mysterious companion. The reality is that cats that live exclusively indoors, no matter how protected they are from external dangers like traffic predators and communicable diseases, face a series of psychological and physiological risks that often go completely unnoticed by even the most attentive and dedicated cat owners. I'm not referring to rare diseases, complex genetic conditions, or unusual household accidents, but rather to seemingly insignificant and routine mistakes that the overwhelming majority of owners don't even identify as potential problems or sources of suffering. Do you leave your cat alone for 8, 10, or even 12 consecutive hours while you work or study, assuming they're perfectly comfortable sleeping? Do you have decorative plants scattered around the house without ever researching whether they're toxic to felines? Do you watch them sleep for long hours and automatically assume that's how cats naturally behave, without questioning whether this excessive sleeping might indicate something more concerning? What actually happens in their complex minds and delicate bodies during these situations may surprise you deeply, and more importantly, it represents something that can be completely prevented with adequate knowledge and small, conscious changes. A detailed study conducted by the renowned Cornell University, one of the world's most respected veterinary institutions, revealed alarming data. More than 60% of cats living exclusively indoors experience some type of significant emotional, behavioral, or physical disorder before they even reach 5 years of age. And here's the most shocking point: this doesn't happen due to conscious neglect or a lack of love from their caregivers, but rather due to a profound lack of understanding of the real and complex needs of these extraordinary animals. Because there are often no visible physical symptoms or obvious behavioral signs in the early stages of these disorders, we automatically assume everything is working perfectly, but scientific reality shows us that it definitely isn't. Prolonged chronic stress, generalized anxiety, accumulated frustration, and even genuine feline depression are real, clinically documented, and dangerously silent conditions that may be gradually developing in your companion. A cat, unlike us humans, doesn't have the ability to verbalize phrases like "I feel bad," "I'm bored," or "I need more stimulation," but their body and behavior constantly speak through subtle yet significant signals. Seemingly normal behaviors can gradually change in almost imperceptible ways, and if we don't develop the ability to correctly interpret these feline communication signals, we may inadvertently ignore urgent calls for help or expressions of discomfort. In this comprehensive and detailed video, I'll demonstrate exactly how seemingly normal and harmless daily habits can, over time, become constant sources of silent suffering, and also how to identify, prevent, and correct these problematic patterns practically and efficiently. Every change you implement, even if it seems small or insignificant at first, can literally mean additional years of healthy life and genuine well-being for your cat. Imagine for a moment from their perspective. Every day, without fail, they walk the exact same narrow hallways, hear the same monotonous sounds over and over, stare at the same walls and furniture, completely lacking in novelty, stimulation, or challenge, potentially feeling deeply alone and perhaps even mentally confused. Why you genuinely believe everything is perfectly fine simply because they sleep a lot or don't display any obvious vocal complaints. Here, you'll discover the scientific and emotional truth behind this seemingly tranquil silence. We'll explore in detail seemingly simple but profoundly impactful mistakes: failing to provide adequate elevated observation spots and territory, leaving your dog alone for prolonged periods without any social interaction or environmental stimulation, or simply not providing enough play to satisfy their natural hunting and exploration instincts. We'll also examine in detail how these situations affect their bodies in invisible ways: significantly increased blood cortisol levels, progressively weakened immune systems, the development of aggressive or self-destructive behaviors, complex eating disorders, and even the emergence of serious chronic diseases. But don't worry or feel guilty. This video is definitely not meant to blame you or make you feel inadequate as a caretaker, but rather to educate and empower you with practical tools. I'll present concrete, accessible solutions, small but scientifically based changes that have an extraordinarily large impact on feline quality of life, without necessarily spending large sums of money or completely renovating your home. Just learning to see and understand the world through your cat's curious eyes and instinctive needs. The first fundamental mistake I'll address is leaving your cat alone for many hours at a time, without any form of interaction or stimulation. Despite their historical and cultural reputation as completely independent and self-sufficient animals, modern behavioral science clearly shows us that they definitely don't appreciate prolonged periods of forced solitude, spending 8, 10, or more hours a day without meaningful social interaction. Adequate environmental stimulation or mental challenges can gradually lead to a psychological state that experts call emotional abandonment. Detailed behavioral studies consistently demonstrate that cats who spend a significant portion of their day alone, without human or feline companionship, often develop persistent chronic anxiety, tendencies toward progressive social isolation, and even clinically diagnosable feline depression. To better understand this situation, imagine yourself trapped in a small room with no novelty, stimulation, or companionship every day of your life. They also have complex psychological needs for social interaction, stimulating play, and regular affectionate contact. The second critical mistake I frequently encounter is keeping potentially dangerous plants at home without any knowledge of their toxicity to felines. Many common plants that we consider completely harmless and even beneficial to us humans, such as elegant lilies, colorful azaleas, supposedly medicinal aloe vera, or even some seemingly innocent succulents, can be highly toxic and even lethal to cats. Just a small accidental skin contact with the sap or the slightest ingestion of leaves or flowers can cause serious reactions such as violent vomiting, persistent diarrhea, acute kidney failure, and in more severe cases, even death and poisoning. The solution doesn't involve completely eliminating nature and beauty from your home, but rather consciously adapting it. Plants proven to be safe for felines, such as calathea with its striped leaves, graceful lucky bamboo, tropical areca palm, or colorful African violets, can bring all the desired natural beauty without posing any health risks to your companion. The key is prior research and informed choices. The third fundamental error I consistently observe is a chronic lack of adequate mental stimulation and regular physical activity. Many people mistakenly believe that cats are naturally passive, lazy, and content simply sleeping, but scientific reality shows us that excessive sleep can be a worrying indicator of depression, boredom, or even underlying health problems. Without regular intellectual challenges, opportunities for safe exploration, or structured play sessions, serious problems often arise, such as progressive obesity, chronic digestive disorders, significant loss of physical agility, and the development of destructive behaviors such as excessive scratching of furniture or inappropriate marking of territory. Mentally bored and physically sedentary cats invariably suffer from persistent chronic stress, which drastically compromises their immune systems and makes them vulnerable to a wide range of infectious diseases and degenerative conditions. The key to reversing this situation is to consistently provide challenging interactive toys, safe spaces to climb and explore, strategically placed windows to observe the fascinating outdoors, and structured daily routines of 10 to 15 minutes of active and engaging play. It's important to understand that it's not necessarily about excessive amounts of time, but rather the quality of interaction and regularity of activities. A monotonous and predictable routine can be absolutely devastating to a feline's mental health. Cats have complex brains that need to constantly learn, explore, and solve problems to stay mentally healthy and emotionally balanced. Small daily intellectual challenges, such as solving food puzzles, searching for a hidden ball, or simply watching birds through the window, significantly reduce anxiety levels and promote psychological well-being. A home environment without height variation severely limits their natural and instinctive behavioral expression. Accessible shelves, safe elevated platforms, cat trees, and other elevated locations are absolutely essential to satisfy their territorial and observation needs. Do you recognize any of these mistakes being inadvertently made in your home? Please don't blame yourself or feel inadequate. The most important thing is that you now have scientific knowledge and can start positively transforming your cat's life today. The invisible but devastating consequences of these seemingly minor mistakes simultaneously affect body and mind in interconnected and cumulative ways. Prolonged social isolation and a chronic lack of adequate stimulation dramatically raise blood cortisol levels, progressively weaken the immune system, and leave the cat dangerously vulnerable to a wide range of opportunistic diseases. Prolonged and untreated stress can cause obsessive, repetitive behaviors, significant hormonal changes, the development of resistant obesity, and even early cognitive decline similar to dementia. A chronically understimulated cat gradually loses genuine interest in food, play, or even basic grooming. This entire degenerative process occurs silently, without obvious vocal protests or dramatic signs, only through subtle behavioral changes that, if observed carefully and interpreted correctly, can be completely reversed with appropriate interventions. How can you effectively prevent these problems and significantly improve your companion's quality of life? First, consistently provide varied and safe vertical environments. Establish regular interactive play routines, and completely eliminate environmental hazards such as toxic plants or accessible chemicals. Stimulate your pet mentally every day with challenging interactive toys, exploration boxes, or even specially designed videos that simulate natural hunting situations. Devote 10 to 15 minutes a day to active play and strengthen the emotional bond between you. Personalized attention and regular companionship are absolutely essential, if possible, and appropriate for your situation. Soft, relaxing music or even adopting a second, compatible cat can help significantly. Always carefully respecting each animal's unique personality and individual preferences. Carefully inspect all plants in your home and ensure their safety. Examine cleaning products and medications, keeping them out of reach. Ensure adequate hydration with fresh water always available. Keep the litter box impeccably clean, as cats are notoriously picky about hygiene. Never forget the importance of affection. Some cats love long cuddles and cuddles, while others prefer more subtle displays of affection that respect their personal space. Start by implementing simple but impactful changes, adding a comfortable elevated spot, replacing a potentially toxic plant with a safe one, dedicating a few extra minutes daily to structured play. Every seemingly small detail truly counts and makes a measurable difference. Your cat fundamentally needs to feel safe in their territory, adequately stimulated mentally and physically, and genuinely loved and understood. By reaching this point in the video, you clearly demonstrate that you care deeply and genuinely want to make a real difference in your companion's life. Your cat doesn't need excessive material luxuries or expensive products, but rather to be truly understood in their needs, have regular opportunities for safe exploration, and be loved in a species-appropriate way. You literally represent their entire world in every gesture you make, every change you implement, every moment of attention you give them directly, and significantly impacts their physical well-being, mental health, and emotional balance. If this educational content resonated with you and provided valuable insights, please like this video, subscribe to the Cat Forever channel to receive more content about the feline universe, and leave a comment below with a specific change you plan to implement first in your cat's routine. Always remember, you are their voice in this world, the most important presence that transforms their daily experience. Each day represents a new, precious opportunity to create genuinely happy moments, ensure lasting health, and continually strengthen the special bond between you. Thank you so much for being here, and for loving your cat so dedicatedly, building a better life one conscious step at a time.